Yo, what's up, everybody? Johnny E, Expert Collaborative Real Broker, and I'm out here changing the way the game is played for real estate agents on a team. I am ranked in the top 100 agents out of 66,000 agents in the state of Arizona. My team does around 140, 150 million a year in closed volume. I personally do 20 to 30 million every year consistently. I work full-time for the post office. I've been there for 12 years. I'm a letter carrier. I also train new people that come to the office as delivery drivers. I'm also a father of two, husband of one, and I also do stock trading. I do my own trading. I also have 4 retirement accounts. I own 8 properties, and a lot of this I've done in the last 5 years. So what I'm trying to get at is I want to kind of show you how I got there. There's going to be a series of video, but this one's going to be more about the timeline. I'm going to try to give you guys that as fast as I can. So basically I had a rough childhood. My parents were not the greatest, and we were extremely dirt poor. There were times we'd go months without paying the rent, getting evicted, been evicted a few times. The fridge was always bare. My parents were alcoholics. The beer always came first. They used to make us take food stamps and buy like something for 10 cents and bring the 90 cents back, and then later on they'd go buy beer with it. It was wild. That was back in the food stamps days. Some of you guys probably don't even know what that is. But it was a rough childhood. It was physically and mentally abusive. I got bullied through school. I got my ass kicked all the time. I actually had a swirly, an actual swirly. Kids would fight me, beat me up. I never threw a punch. I was always too afraid to punch anybody. But that was kind of my childhood, and it really sucked. Going to school, I'd get bullied. Going home, I'd get bullied. And I had a brother and sister that were younger than me, and I realized at some point I was going to have to get them out of there, including myself. So we moved schools. I took advantage of that, and I was always the dweeb, the geek. And when we moved to this new school, I decided I was going to change who I was. And it was really wild because I don't know where this came from, this inspiration, but I decided to find the most popular kid in school, and I started to befriend him from day one. And I completely was fake it till you make it. And we ended up turning out, we're still best friends to this day. Both were best men in each other's weddings. You know, we're talking 25, about 25 years now. So what's cool about that is he kind of taught me how to be the popular kid, how to be more outspoken, how to learn the communication skills. I started playing sports. Never played organized sports before, ever. I was a team captain in football, team captain in basketball. I played linebacker. I played defensive end. I returned punts. I tried to play baseball, wasn't great at it, but basically I was team captain for both. And this is with never playing before. And I was like, wow, I have this newfound leadership skill, and I took advantage of it. I became one of the most popular kids in school, right? I was the prom king. Things were going really great. I moved out of my parents' house, got my own place when I was super young, was renting, and then I was just living dirt poor. I was eating hot dogs and mac and cheese like every day. I remember the girlfriend at the time I brought her over for dinner and I made her French toast. And that was one of the most embarrassing things, but it was the only thing I could afford. And I remember feeling like I was working, but I wasn't getting anywhere. I was working $8 an hour, I think was the job I had at the time at 21 years old. But I took the skills I learned in that school and started to apply them in the workplace. So then I was like, well, I just need to be the best person that's working here. So I quickly learned how to do that where I was at. I became a fork truck driver, which almost doubled my pay. I started making really good money. I was like 15 bucks an hour. So I'm like, wow, I really have this skill. I started working that, and then I would advance, and I took a job from a buddy who lived about 40 miles away. He offered me this job, and he said, hey, I need somebody to wash cars. And I was like, really? Never washed cars for a profession before, but he said, look, the pay is really great and I need somebody. It's my business. I'll pay you, 10 bucks an hour cash. But they paid us on a flat rate scale. So what that was basically you get a certain amount of hours for every car, no matter how long it took. This is where I really started to learn the difference between an hourly wage and salary, because that's basically what this is, or getting paid by the job. So I quickly got in there and started knocking out 4-hour jobs in 2 hours and realized I could make 20 bucks an hour. I was like, wow, this is amazing. I'm 21 years old, making 20 bucks an hour. And I bought my car, I started getting these things figured out. And then I adopted my sister and moved her in. I moved my brother in with me. I bought a house at 23 years old, and I walked my sister down the aisle, all these things, right? And progressively I learned that I had to keep going more. I had to get farther and farther. 20 bucks an hour just wasn't going to cut the mustard forever, even though it sounds fantastic. And this was back before COVID, when there wasn't 20 bucks an hour. Now everybody makes 20 bucks an hour, but I worked at that dealership, or I worked with my buddy. A dealership position opened up. The guy called in sick for a week. They were super frustrated with him. The guy was a terrible employee. And they said, hey, do you think your guy can do this? And I said, I can do this. I'll go over there. So I spent the whole week. This guy would bill about 40 to 50 hours a week. I billed 90 hours the 1 week I was there. I did double his volume. They immediately fired him, gave me his position, and now I made 30 to 35 bucks an hour. And then I started getting benefits, and I was like, holy shit, this is great. If I just keep doing what I'm doing and progressing farther, I can keep building and building. And I stayed there for about 7 years. I ended up losing that job, and that was mostly my own fault. I did some stupid stuff. Nothing terrible that I should have been fired for, but there were people there that didn't like me. So that's another thing you got to realize. As you start to get better at things, people aren't going to like you because you're better at it than they are. And they're going to make sure they tell everybody about it, and if they have any pull at all, they're going to try to bring you down. So I left that job. My wife and I moved out to Phoenix from Michigan. And this was in 2012. We got married. We drove here as our honeymoon, which was nothing like a honeymoon that my wife should have had. But I did take her out 10 years later. That's okay. It took 10 years. And we moved to Phoenix. I didn't work for 6 months. And I was like, I'll get a job. Jobs are easy, right? Because I'm the man. I spent 6 months out here and couldn't get a job. Everything. I had letters of recommendation. I was a bartender at the Toby Keith Bar in Detroit. I had a 2-page letter of recommendation. I brought it in thinking, I'm going to have this job, and they turned me down. So then I realized, okay, maybe I'm not as good as what I am. So I went back and I just started applying for jobs, and that's how I got into the post office. I actually got hired at UPS and the post office at the same time. My opinion, UPS was a bunch of jerks. They didn't treat us very nice, and the post office is a little nicer, so I took that gig, which I still have. So I started working there. I was making great progress. I was learning the craft. And that was another one of those positions where they pay you X amount. So my route would be 40 hours a week, and if I could do it in 20, they're still gonna pay me for 40. So what I did is I leveraged that. I got an extra income, I got my real estate license, and then I started selling homes. And I did those back to back. I became dual career, which is what I call myself today. I do not do either one of these jobs part-time. I am full-time in both. My stats will prove it. The sales that I've done, the volume, the team I've built, will prove that I'm not a part-time agent, which was a battle that I had to overcome, because as you get better, as I told you before, people see you doing great and they want to bring you down. So a lot of agents, a lot of brokerages talk shit about me, and I had to prove them wrong. And that was great because it was an unlimited fuel source that I could use at any time. Anytime I needed more fuel, I just do a video and say, hey, I'm doing this better than you, and they blast me with everything, and it was fantastic. It still works to this day too. But I did that. I've been doing real estate now for 10 years. I've been kicking butt at the post office for 10 years. I decided about 2 years ago during COVID that I was going to start buying rental properties. And that's how I got to my 8 homes. And also during COVID, I decided I was going to start trading stocks myself. Now I had a couple of retirement accounts, which I still have. And I like to trade on my own. I do a lot of research. I read 2 to 3 books a month on it. And I'm just expanding my knowledge in that realm because I feel like there's a lot to be learned, and there's a lot of income that can be made there. A lot of people screw it up. So that's my whole goal, is to learn how to do it better than everyone else. And I will share these videos as we go. We'll get more specific videos. But that's what brings me up to what I am today. 42 years old. I own 8 homes, which is just about $4 million in real estate. I work 2 jobs full time. I run a team of 67 agents. I'm top 100 in the entire state out of 66,000 agents. and I'm top 0.5% at our company on a global scale. So some of the things that I'm doing out here, I'm trying to share that. It's not a boastful thing. This is to let people know that I am significant and what I'm saying matters, and what I say I do, I am doing. So feel free to fact check me if you want. You can leave your comments, whatever you guys want to do. But I want to connect with people that need this, because it's hard. The economy's down. People are losing their jobs. People don't want to work. People can't work. You don't have a retirement. All these problems can be solved, but they can't be solved overnight. You have to make progress, and you got to start at that little guy like I was 20 years ago to get where I am now. So I'm hoping these videos have some substance for you. Please like and subscribe. If you want to see more content, I'd love to hear about what you want to talk about. Leave comments about that. If there's a specific video idea you want to touch base on, I'd be happy to do that. Now go out there and kill it.